Well, in the area of crime, I think it's important for people to realize everyone has a right, if they are a productive citizen, to be able to live, to work in a safe environment. It's important for us to look at crime in a short-term as well as a long-term way. Long-term way is to make sure that our children have a strong education, because the more educated a person is, the more likely that they can get a job, the more likelihood of, once you have a job, of securing yourself and your livelihood is greater, the less likelihood of resorting to crime. So we think in terms of a long-term solution, we must work with our young people, get them to see the value of an education, and to also get them to have skills so that they can get a job. In terms of some immediate things, we have to make sure that our police department has the funding to be able to be present and be visible. We want to make sure that our police department not only has equipment to drive around in cars, but also the numbers to be able to have what we call foot control. So those are more immediate things. And then also what we're beginning to do is be very aggressive in terms of young people when they when they're supposed to be in school, we call them truants.
Okay.
And if a person is not in school and they're supposed to be in school, we have our police department to pick those people up and call their parents and say, little Johnny is supposed to be in school, but he is not in school. Or little Sally is supposed to be in school and she's not in school.
Checks and
and
balances.
so it's check and balances. So we work with our schools and those kids who are not in school and supposed to be in school and they're walking around idle hands, doing things that are mischievous, we pick them up and we call their parents.
Oh, that's great. Actually, that leads me to the next question in the area of education. You are school at Morehouse College, an alumni, and you did a great job by promoting and profiling the qualities of Morehouse College. With this kind of system that you put together, and now edifying and also lifting the image of the historical black colleges and also Morehouse College inclusive. The African nations are looking forward to the derivation of bringing students, foreign students, to study here. And they are trying to create the sixth region of Africa, which is the diaspora, thereby now turning the tide to provide the brain gain instead of brain drain. People that graduates here will now go elsewhere to work. With this kind of system that you've already launched and also the program, what do you foresee the future of education to be here in America?
Well, let me talk about the black colleges that you mentioned. There are over 300, there are 3,000 colleges and universities in the United States, and among the 3,000, about 125 of them are what we call historically black colleges and universities. Many of these institutions were founded after the Civil War when African Americans who had been enslaved did not have any educational opportunities. And so these schools were established exclusively for those people who were enslaved so that they could have an education. If it were not for these black colleges and universities, I'm going to tell you how impactful they are right here in Atlanta, right here in Fulton County. The chairman of Fulton County, myself, is a black college graduate, Morehouse College. The mayor of the city of Atlanta is a graduate of Howard University. The president of the Atlanta City Council is a graduate of Morehouse College. The chairman of the Fulton County delegation to the House of Representatives in the state of Georgia is a Morehouse graduate. The former chief judge of the state court of Fulton County, a Morehouse graduate. You have Clark Atlanta graduates who are here, who are very crucial in terms of corporate involvement. Morris Brown and Spelman College, along with the Interdenominational Theological Seminary. These are 6 black colleges and universities right here in Atlanta who have played a significant role in terms of the development of black intellectual capital right here. And many of us assume leadership roles right here in this county as well as Atlanta. And if it were not for these colleges, we wouldn't be here. So I think the record must be known that black colleges play a very important role. I went to Yale University, the second most prestigious university in the United States. but I wouldn't have gotten into Yale University if I had not done well at Morehouse College. So I encourage our African brothers and sisters across the water on the other side to think in terms of the black colleges here. I visited Africa, and I have seen how on a secondary and a primary level, schools are good. I was in Sierra Leone about 5 years ago, and I went to the Bow School for Boys, one of the most distinguished schools in Sierra Leone that has a rich tradition of educating the elite in Sierra Leone. And I saw how these young boys, despite the civil war that had previously taken place in that country, despite the poverty and Sierra Leone being one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, those black boys, those Sierra Leoneans, were educated to assume leadership positions in Sierra Leone. That model, where you see black boys challenged and encouraged in an educational environment and inspired to be the best that they can be, that's present in black colleges here in the United States. And so when I did my research at Morehouse College, I found that the school was successful and effective because it did several things. Number one, it had a climate of high expectations. The first day you're in school there, we expect you to be the best. We expect you to be successful. We expect you to be a leader. We expect you to be a positive role model in the community. So there's a high level of expectations, whether you're Clark College or Clark Atlanta or Morris Brown or Spelman. Black colleges do a great job in terms of setting a high bar, saying despite where you've come from, despite what you may not have had, we expect you to be up here on this level. And so black colleges have done that well historically. They're doing it right now. Along with that, they have wonderful role models who are teachers, who are competent, who are scholarly, who also work very closely with students. And so I think you have this mix here in the United States. Again, we have quite a few colleges and universities here in the United States, but we have a small component of black colleges that have historically done a very good job in terms of training our intellectual leaders, our business leaders, our corporate leaders, our community leaders, and they have played a very vital role across the United States, but especially here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, hope deferred make the mind sick. When the desire are met, is a tree of life. I really enjoy the analysis of what you made. Now, the derivation I said is shifting from Western Europe down to America. The African nations are now bridging the gap and building the bridge in the area of education, job opportunity, medical, and everything human relations, and also bringing, which we just talked about. Now, the African Union were here in 2007, and they said, creating the 6th region of Africa, Atlanta will be the epicenter. This is where the wind is blowing. Now, one of the major things they're trying to do is to focus attention that come to United States, Atlanta will be the gateway, and they are coming again in February. Coming in February, the Jinping, the chairperson of the African Union, will be here at Morehouse College. And we expect people like you, a leader, to play a significant role, that here is the center of the African initiative. What will be your role to bridge the gap and build the bridge between the indigenous, the intimate, and the distant Africans?
Well, number one, I'll be a champion. I certainly recognize the value and the importance of Africa. I certainly recognize that I'm of African descent. I've traveled to Africa quite a few times, to West Africa as well as South Africa, so I'll be a champion. Number two, I think it's important for people to realize the importance of Atlanta in relation to the United States, but also in relation to Africa.
Good.
Atlanta has, since early 1970s, has had strong black political leadership. And so what has strong black political leadership done here in Atlanta? It has provided people with the opportunity to acquire wealth through business opportunities with government, municipal government, county government. We've also had the opportunity to support our educational system here. So we have some strong black political clout and economic clout here in this city and in this county. If you go across the United States, you don't see this to the extent that you see right here. There's also a sense of consciousness here of people of color, African Americans especially, who recognize and see the importance of Africa. Delta Airlines also is important in terms of you can fly from here directly to Accra, Ghana. You can fly to Dakar, Senegal. You can fly to Cape Town, South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa. You can fly from here to Dakar and ultimately to Nairobi, Kenya. You can fly to Lagos, Nigeria. So unlike many other cities that don't have direct routes, you have them here. And so we have, you can fly from here to Accra in about 8 or 9 hours. And so you really have this important mix where you have black political leadership here. You have the means of transport between here and Africa, as well as the means of communications.
Well, Commissioner Eve, it's always a great stride to reach the top. But one of the major tasks is to remain at the top. The Fulton County has been a county that has reached the top. Especially you are so lucky to have the airport right at your domain, and now the biggest airport in the world now, bringing all the people of the world to Atlanta, and also now enlarging and also creating more. In the next 10 years, what do you foresee the city of Atlanta and Fulton County becoming for United States?
I see on the county side, I see the county being a laboratory where you can see success and you can see a model for success that's taking place here in terms of economic development, in terms of wealth creation, in terms of also in terms of health. We have many resources here in Fulton County. The county has public health departments. We have the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control.
Correct.
On the negative side, in Fulton County, we have one of the highest rates of HIV/AIDS.
Okay.
But we have the opportunity in partnership with places like the CDC, support from the federal government, of figuring out how we can minimize the occurrences of HIV/AIDS. We also can reach out to our brothers and sisters in South Africa. I believe that there's some cutting-edge things that are happening there in terms of prevention and treatment. And why not figure out a way how we can have some sort of information sharing going on between the two of us. So I see Fulton County, I see the city of Atlanta as being able to provide what I call best practices of what good black political leadership can achieve in terms of sustainable, strong communities within our jurisdictions.
I see the three components in you. You are a visionary, you are a realist, and you are an idealist. How will you describe life to young folks over there who are watching this show, and what message do you have for them?
I think that the message that I have for young people is that you should never limit yourself, reach for the stars. If you pursue anything, don't deny yourself an opportunity. You let somebody else deny the opportunity for yourself, but you should go for it, and you never can tell. And with effort, preparation, and prayer, you can be successful.
The best is yet to come. Commissioner Eaves, it's my pleasure to have you on this show.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
I really enjoy you. What is your parting word to the people overseas?
Well, thanks so much, and I certainly recognize the value of Africa. I've been there many times before, and I look forward to going back again.
Thank you very much. Until I see you again next week, keep on watching and keep on telling us. CAU Television is the in the city of Atlanta. Thank you.
All right, it's great. Thanks, Chief.